Introducing the Jungle Kangaroo boots by Grant Stone. A great choice to complement some of those national colors without being too bold. This kind of green is also a versatile color, no matter where you're from. After I go over how the boots style and wear, I'll do a detailed leather and boot comparison to show how Jungle Kangaroo shines bright in its own right. But before we begin, let me know how often you encounter people in real life who wear heritage boots. For me, it's rare. One of the times I did meet a person who had over a dozen heritage boots, ranging from Thursday Boots and Alan Edmonds to Carmina. He told me the Jungle Kangaroo boots I was wearing would be great for business casual. That would be a more relaxed business casual. For me, I almost exclusively wear these as casual and sometimes smart casual. I get what the guy meant, because when it's less bright, and if the leather's brushed even just a little, they can sometimes seem polished and sharp, though the large brass eyelets lower the formality even when paired with thinner laces. Also in brighter light, the rougher qualities of Kangaroo being a wild animal become more apparent. Plenty of natural scars and scratches, not as much as you would normally find on kudu leather, but they're still quite clear in direct light. The darker green helps hide these imperfections, and I noticed Grant Stone intentionally chose the more scratched leather to be on the inside facing side of each boot, meaning the right side of the left boot and the left side of the right boot. I read a great comment online describing them as almost reptilian-like. Even though this can be called smooth leather, there's enough variation to give the appearance of something scaly like crocodile, lizard, or snake skin. While talking about animals and skins, let's acknowledge that boots are made from leather, which was once part of a living animal. Let us appreciate and respect the lives of the creatures before they became leather, and not let that leather go to waste. Honor it. Take care of it so it will last. On a related note, I found out about Grant Stone and Kangaroo leather from Nick at Stridewise, and was intrigued by how this could be called one of the most ethical leathers, since kangaroos are often culled to reduce overpopulation, and the resulting suffering that would occur from lack of water for a large population. Meaning, unlike most leathers, kangaroo leather wouldn't normally be produced as the result of hunting endangered species or from the intentional breeding of domesticated animals. This leather also stands out for being lightweight, soft, and supple when new, while still being strong under tension and having decent puncture resistance. And because there was no stiffness, the uppers didn't need any break-in, though the insole and midsole did, and that took a few weeks. During that time, it felt kind of weird having a firm footbed with a comparatively softer upper that felt like it had been worn much more. The design is based on Grant Stone's Leolast, which I've covered in other videos, though for a quick rundown, it fits good but not great. I have enough room in the toe box, while the heel and midfoot areas are reasonably secure on flat ground. The instep is secure enough, but since my instep is in the average to high range, I can have pressure concentrated onto a small area. So I have to make sure the lacing around the first two speed hooks is tight, but not too tight, to get rid of most of this issue. As usual, I went down half a size from my Brannock measurement, as suggested, and it worked out fine. It seems the Grant Stone Leolast can work for most people, but it seems especially good for those with an average instep, not too long or wide of a toe spread, and close to average width in the midfoot and heel areas. Then with the firmness of Jungle Kangaroo, the fit is definitely relaxed. I know a last should theoretically fit the same no matter the material the boot is made from, though in real life, that's just mostly true. The soft, supple feel of Jungle Kangaroo just gives way enough to let my feet shift slightly, which isn't the case for most of the other boots I have on the same last, made from different upper materials. Also, the lining in these particular boots could be smoother. Probably not, since it seems all Grant Stone boots have the same kind of lining. Just trying to find some explanation for the slightly looser fit. Based on everything I just said about fit, and the fact I wear these as more of a style-oriented city boot, I've actually worn these more than it would seem. If I were to wear these away from indoor floors and clean concrete, they would look more their age. I have tried wearing them in a wide range of temperatures, and was quite surprised. They're not as cool in the heat as expected, and of course not as warm in the cold. Once it starts getting over 20 degrees Celsius, I start feeling the warmth just like other leathers. It's slightly warmer than unlined suede, so no spectacular cool performance in the heat. Not what I thought, because you'd think Kangaroo being from Australia, a comparatively warmer climate to the northern hemisphere, would breathe better and feel cooler compared to something like common calf leather. But then again, Australia can get cold too. It also has its own winter. More importantly, there's also the leather lining. If these were unlined, the temperature would probably feel similar to unlined suede, which still has its own limit. After all, wearing any kind of boots once it gets closer to 30 degrees Celsius feels warm to hot even when wearing lighter socks. On the flip side, when wearing medium weight wool socks in mid-autumn, when it starts falling to the freezing point with the first appearance of frost, there's a definite chill, especially after being outside for over an hour, even when walking around and staying active. That's why I prefer to wear these boots in the spring, early fall, or on mild summer days. To get into even more detail, the leather is vegetable tanned by the Merriam Tannery. Now let's do a leather and boot comparison. Up until now, most shots have been indoors or not in direct sunlight. Under these conditions, it's actually most fitting that it's called Jungle Kangaroo when the leather appears darker. It truly does look like a leaf from a jungle plant, unlike most all other green boots, which usually have the same kind of olive or medium green forest color. Though these kinds of color qualities can still come out in brighter light. Yeah, I even got 2 olives to highlight this look. It also normally looks darker than a cucumber, even one that's in the process of being pickled. The store page images give a realistic representation of how this green can vary in real life. Though as you can see, it's mostly under indoor or partially sunny conditions. To maximize the medium green olive and brown tones, the comparison was done right at noon on a clear day, amplifying the unique qualities of these boots and their unique leathers, under the brightest possible natural conditions. To begin, here's Jungle Kangaroo with the diesel boot in Loden suede. Jungle Kangaroo, being a smooth leather, makes the color appear more uniform and darker, while the texture of Loden suede shifts more between medium green and brown hues. Because of this difference, Loden suede fits better in the casual and rugged category, while Jungle Kangaroo can fit better in casual to smart casual settings. The casualness can be turned up even more with more contrasting and lighter laces, like these lighter olive green laces. By the way, green laces with green boots and pants isn't too outlandish when it's not St. Patrick's Day, especially with these shades of green which aren't too vibrant or saturated. They also aren't overly drab, but they do lean more towards army green, without necessarily being fully 100% army green. Just don't wear a drab olive shirt or field jacket, and you'll avoid looking like you're trying to be a soldier. Jungle Kangaroo is pretty easy to take care of. I normally just dust them with a brush every few weeks, and apply a thin coat of neutral conditioner like Venetian Shoe Cream or Saphir Renovator once or twice a year. Though if you wear them in rougher conditions, picking up deeper scuffs and scratches, you might want to get Green Shoe Cream from Saphir, which appears to be one of the closest green matches for colored shoe cream. Now just the olives again, with the green dial Citizen Garrison Solar Watch on an olive green veg tan leather strap, which has more brown compared to Jungle Kangaroo. A noticeable contrast to the darker and more uniform boots in the bright midday sun. Onto the black leather wallet, which shows why green boots are liked for combining well with both black and brown. Though I still think dark charcoal gray is the ultimate in versatility. Maybe not as exciting and vibrant, but more adaptable to different outfits, formalities, and activities. And of course I show this off with my Viberg Navy boots in Earth Chamois, which show an even greater texture contrast since it's oiled rough out. Now to compare and contrast the green alongside some dark to medium brown leathers, a Horween waxed flesh, and medium brown oiled leather watch band. Then add the Parkhurst Niagara in weathered henna leather on the left, and we can see the complementary nature of different textures and shades of brown combined with this kind of green. So basically, the perfect type of color scheme from nature: soil, wood, and vegetation. Moving along the color and material spectrum, the Hamilton Bronze Mechanical Watch on an aged and darkened colorate shell cordovan watch band complements the brass hardware found on all these boots and introduces a darker brown reddish leather. Colorate shell cordovan giving a really warm and earthy look that pairs well with the mild brightness of the brass hardware on all these three boots. Same thing again, except now we swap the Viberg Earth Chamois boots for Colorate Chrome Excel Grant Stone diesels to shift from the darker brown earth tones towards the brighter brown to reddish spectrum. Something that really brings out the contrasting green in Jungle Kangaroo. These shades of red and green are great primary color matches, without being too bold of a Christmas look, yet still being more vibrant than a combination with plain brown. If you just leave these three low-maintenance leathers, they're not too formal or too rugged, or casual with too many scuffs and color variation. All three can be buffed to a glow and a light shine, or left to dull and pick up marks, but still be presentable and casual. They've all softened up, but Jungle Kangaroo seems to be the softest and loosest fitting. Not by a huge margin, but one that's still quite noteworthy. To cool things down, bring in the blue. Midnight Blue Suede Grantstone Ottawa boots, which are also on the Leo Last like the diesels. They help show how well this kind of green matches dark navy blue, commonly found in heritage clothes and classic menswear, from denim to wool coats. The Midnight Blue Ottawa boots also show off the most uniform and well-maintained suede I have, contrasted against the varied yet still smooth leather of the diesels. Now for full RGB, but unlike programmable lights, the green is by far the least vibrant. As you saw, even the Loden suede isn't as colorful as the red or blue boots here. So it doesn't have anything to do with leather texture. Green boots are just generally more subtle in their hue and saturation, often giving them the more muted look out of these three primary colors. Dark navy blue is distinct from earth tones, while the reddish part of Colorate Chrome XL gets brought out more easily in light and even darker conditions. Not so much the case for pure green tones in green boots. Now for a glance at the heel block and the leather midsole. The Jungle Kangaroo is by far the best kept, even though it was my very first Grantstone boot. These go back to when I was first getting into boots, so they got cleaned, conditioned, and coated in wax polish much more often. Back then I was obsessed about keeping the midsole and heel block hydrated and dirt repellent. That's why they do have a cleaner look, almost like wooden furniture. Now all the boots together, they've already been reviewed. So if you're interested, just go to my playlist of boot reviews and find the pair you're interested in. In the future, I'll do a full comparison of all the heritage boots I have, along with more boot reviews. Though I'll probably take a break from boots and do a watch review next.